Alright, hello everyone and welcome to this Chinese water build order guide. This water build order is going to work for essentially all of the water maps because what happens on water maps is you want to take water as soon as possible, as effectively as possible. You want to make it so that your opponent doesn't get the water because water is the best food source when it comes to gathering rate in the game, especially when we're talking deep sea fish. So that is what we're going to be doing here. Water is very different from land maps because you are playing the game in a radically different way, in the sense that you're just solely focused on achieving water dominance instead of trying to harass your opponent on land. There are strategies for that, but that is not so much the Chinese civilization. That is more English, for example, where you can send a couple of longbows and then make sure that you deny some of the wood for some time from your opponent, and that can also help you win water. But that's for another video if people want to see that as well. This is a Chinese water build order that I use on my live stream, so if you want to go check it out, you can on my live stream. I will be providing a link in the description for it below, as well as the transcription for the build order itself, so you can follow along if you try to play this build order yourself. Right. So we'll be starting off by sending our first 6 villagers to the wood line here. One builds a lumber camp, the rest will be chopping the wood. In order to increase effectiveness, it's important that they already start chopping at this point. We queue up our villages. Our first 4 villages, including the one here that built the lumber camp, will be going to the shoreline. Shoreline fish gather really quickly, so you can choose to go with only 3, but for our Imperial official later on, it's good to have 4. The first off here, we take our scout, and we want to scout the shoreline. We want to take a look at where are the deep sea fish spawning. Deep sea fish is the replenishing version of shoreline fish, and it gathers a lot faster for fishing boats. So, if you don't know, fishing boats gather from shoreline fish approximately the same speed that berries do when it comes to villages. Whereas deep water fish is, if I'm not mistaken, the fastest food source in the game, and that's from fishing boats. So, we'd want to drop our dock the closest to the deep sea fish here. So you take your scout, you run across the shoreline here, and then you take a look. Alright, this is probably the best spot. I managed to fit a dock here in between the shoreline fish on either side here. I'm not deleting them because I want my villagers to be gathering from them. It is insanely fast to gather with villagers from shoreline fish. And yeah, so we want to drop it right here. Short walk distance from town center plus the shoreline fish and deep sea fish location. The scout will be scouting around the map, and we want to try to see what our opponent is doing. Most people will play water on water maps. But we want to make sure that there's not something cheesy going on. So we go scout for sheep and our opponent's base in the meantime. Right. We're rallying our workers to food. And once these guys drop off again, we want to drop our first fishing boat. At some point as well, let me switch this over so you can see how many vills are on each resource. At some point we want to add another house as well. There's the pop cap achieved with this villager, so we're not going to cap with the fishing boat. In a second I will be doing a forced drop off here. I'm going to have 5 on the food here. So I drop off 27. I had 25 in the bank already. 50 for a house. Enough. Good. So they will be building the house. And in the meantime, I'm going to idle a little bit on the dock here, but most people get their dock up and running at around now, so as soon as possible I will be building the fishing boats I want. I want to get 11 fishing boats in total. That's the goal for attack ship production later on, and villager production. 11 seems to be the 11 to 12 seems to be the best number. Then later on in the game you can add more and more fishing boats, but water is always won very early compared to land maps, which is later. So you can't really over-focus fishing boats because you're going to float food. We want to get the perfect balance, and that seems to be 11-12. Okay, so now we are around minute 2. I think I write 2 minutes and 3 seconds in the build order. We want to be building our first Imperial Official, and we want to do that whenever we reach 8 Woodvilles. That's the number that indicates Imperial Official. We want to get the Imperial Official for the increased drop-off. We get 20% extra resources, but we also have 36 gold banked here as tax. And that tax will be crucial in us going to Feudal Age. So, when the Imperial Official comes out here in a second, I'll be doing a forced drop-off, which means taking all the villagers, and with the resources they have gathered, they will be dropping it off, generating tax. We'll be going back with the Imperial Official, and then right back at supervising afterwards. So, we supervise at the drop-off, like that, and then he goes back, drops off the gold, and then right back at it with the supervision. Alright, our 4 foodvilles are working here. We have 3 boats at this point. We're building another one. Our boat production never stops until we reach the desired number of 11 or 12. Right, we keep adding villages to wood. And now you might be asking when to go gold. Right, we go gold when we reach 11 wood villages. 11 wood villages, 11 ships. It's pretty easy to remember. So, in a second, when I have 11 on wood, I'll be taking 2 of the food villages from here, from the dock, from the shoreline fish, over to the gold. Sometimes you have a long walk distance here, and so maybe you want to be more effective by taking 2 wood villas and then take these 2 here and then put them on the wood instead to minimize walking. But for this video, for the purpose of this video, I'll just be taking these 2 and walk them all the way to the gold. But these are all the ways that you can min-max your your gameplay. Right, so we are almost ready to age up. We don't ever want to stop building villagers or fishing boats. We are gonna be aging up with 6 wood villages in total. And they'll be building the Imperial Academy. And the Imperial Academy will be going right on the wood line, because wood generates the largest amount of tax. Especially on a water map, because we're focusing wood so much. So, Imperial Academy on wood. We're building it with 6 villages, and yeah, that should line up pretty much with the first Springle ship being produced, and then right after you'll be making attack ships. If you build your Imperial Academy and you're floating resources on HUP, take a look at if you have the right amount of fishing ships, if you have the right amount of woodvilles, and if you're floating gold, take 1 off gold, maybe take 2 off gold. This is done later when you have enough Imperial officials, but it's really important that we focus on getting wood with our villages, and that our food is coming solely from fishing boats. It can happen on water that you lose your effective deep sea fish gathering for some time, and then you can start rebalancing your food with your wood villages. So taking some and putting them on sheep. That is why sheep is also important for those reasons, because you can always come back on water. Alright, so our landmark here goes up at around minute 5:22, and then we want to build a Springle ship. Now I want to talk a little bit about the comps for Springle ship, for water in general. For Chinese, I think the best comp that you can make is 3 Springle ships, and then rest is archer ships. You want to watch out with building too many demo ships, because each demo ship you make is a ship you're not getting, an attack ship you're not getting. If you don't get your value from your demo ship, you're just losing out on your total ship count, because you're going to lose your demo ship no matter what. So it's really important that if you build a demo ship, you're going to be having a good chance of getting some value from it. So that means your opponent is massing Springle ships. I don't personally like to mass Springle ships, though it can be effective. It is so easily countered by demo ships. So watch out with that. We build a lot of archer ships because they stack really well. Springle ships are slow. Archer ships are a bit more fragile. But Springle ships don't do as well in big numbers as archer ships do, because they have AoE damage, area of effect, and that can be upgraded with a blacksmith. So it's really important that you get that blacksmith upgrade when you start getting a lot of archer ships as well. So 3 Springle ships, rest archer ships, get the blacksmith upgrades, and on the topic of upgrades, lumber camp upgrades. Your primary source of resources is going to be wood. It's the most important one when you are in feudal age and you're playing water. So double broadaxe and forestry are upgrades you definitely want to get. And as the Chinese civilization, if you have your lumber camp within Imperial Academy influence, you get, I think it's 100% extra tax gold from the lumber camp. And so these upgrades basically pay themselves off with the tax gold that they generate. So getting them is pretty good. You also want to get another Imperial official at some point. And at this point I already have. I think in my guide I say 535. Of course, all the target timings and the villager splits are in that guide that I've posted in the description. You can go check that out if you want to. Right. And so if you want to see this build being used in real games and not against AI, go check out the live stream. And that is in general for my guides. Some people are complaining that my guides against AI, and so of course they are. I make the guides and then I use them on my stream. So go check it out if you want to. And if not, I hope you have success with this guide. And have a good one until next time. See ya.